Hi guys, so double dose of me today. I am going to make a super simple dinner, one that even my kids will eat. Just two main ingredients, sausage and acorn squash. I have to tell you that my husband and I ate it all the time before we had kids when we were following a pretty strict paleo diet. So here goes nothing, super simple. First ingredient, acorn squash. The only thing I've done so far is preheated the oven to 400 degrees and cut the acorn squash in half lengthwise. As you can see, there's some seeds in here. So just take a fork, scoop it out. I should be doing this in front of the camera. This is a lot easier to scoop out than a spaghetti squash if you've done that before. So we've got our protein and we've got our vegetable. Okay, so once it is all scraped out, and make sure you get all the seeds out. You don't want to be chewing on a seed. I mean, maybe you would like acorn squash seeds, but here you go. This is what it looks like all hollowed out. I also have a pan on the stove just getting warm with a drip of olive oil in it. That's for the sausage. I bought mild sausage. Again, I feed this to my kids. When I used to buy it just for my husband and I did hot. So you can adjust accordingly, see what your family likes. And at times I bought a mixture of sweet and hot, and it does give it a nice little taste. I am a fan of sweet and salty. If anyone else is a fan of sweet and salty, you're gonna see why you're going to really enjoy this quick, super easy recipe. So cooking times are really going to vary depending on the size of the acorn squash that you get. This little bugger is being a little trickier. Here we go. But as you can see, pretty quick to just get all the seeds and the insides out. And there we go. So you prepare a baking sheet. There we go, that's a better angle. Baking sheet has been prepared. All right, now what you do to prepare your acorn squash, you just take a little bit of olive oil, I drizzle it in, and then I use a brush to make sure everything really gets coated here. Also, a little hack if you don't have as much time to let things cook is to soften it in the microwave first. But after a little drizzle of olive oil, just make sure it's nice and coated everywhere on the inside with the olive oil. Okay, coat the inside of this as well. Okey-doke. All right, now we're just going to add 3 seasoning ingredients. One on what I'm calling the adult side and one on the child side. Both are going to get salt. As I said, I grew up in an Italian household. I don't really measure anything. Unless it's baking, then that's necessary. Okay, so a little bit of salt. You really need the salt to be able to soften the squash. Okay, some ground black pepper. Sprinkle. I sprinkle a little bit more, so the left side is going to be, my left, is going to be the adult side, and the right side is going to be the kids. So I sprinkle a little less black pepper, because to them they find it a little spicy. And on my side, I add a little bit of cayenne pepper. Okay. And that is it. This is almost like a crock pot where you just dump and go. I'm going to pop this in the oven now. This size squash should take about 40 minutes. You'll know when it's done when you can stick a fork in it and it feels soft, where you can scoop it out and eat it. Okay, so I'm going to just throw this in the oven quickly. Set my cooking timer to 40 minutes. Feel very spoiled. Prior to moving into this house and getting this stove, I used to just set a timer on my phone, but now I have it available right on the stove. Okay, so I set my timer for 40 minutes. If you're ever not sure and you're just guessing with times, and that does happen. Sometimes you buy a larger acorn squash, smaller. It's always best to set the time a little less, maybe say 30 minutes, and check in on it every 5 minutes thereafter to see if it softened. Okay, so now we're going to move over to our sausage, okay? So like I said, I preheated a pan, just got it nice and hot. I remove the sausage out of the casing, which I will show you. Because of that, I do a little drip of olive oil here in my pan. Just a little quick turn of it. Maybe about 2 tablespoons worth. Okay. And now, I just make little balls. Go right into the pan. So now I eat these together. There's most of my family. Our little girl fell asleep in our wagon ride.
Say hi. Say hi.
Gianna, you want to say hi to everyone?
Say hi.
Hi, everybody.
What's
Mommy's
Mommy
making
doing?
my dinner.
She's cooking. Yeah, she's cooking. Yeah.
He's a hungry boy. He's going to eat us at a house and home one day. So with the sausage, once you get all the little balls in the pan, you're going to brown it. At the very end, my secret ingredient is a little bit of pure maple syrup. So that's where we get the sweetness from. And then you'll get the salty from the acorn squash because we salted it really good. And the mixture is just delicious. This is a really nice fall dish. So if you saw my first video with the keto pumpkin cheesecake, fall is my favorite season. I eat all of this at any time. Another way I have prepared this before, when I'm using more ingredients, is that I sauteed some apples as well. Maybe some apples with some cinnamon, just a little bit of lemon juice. And that's really it. You can even throw a little bit of butter in there. It really softens it nicely. And the flavors just go really well together with the sausage, the apple, and the acorn squash. If you haven't ever cooked with an acorn squash before, it is similar to a butternut squash. Definitely way easier to cut. If you do have trouble cutting into your acorn squash, again, a little hack is to just throw it in the microwave for about 3 to 5 minutes, depending on the size of your squash. And it softens it a little bit, making it easier to cut through. Lower the heat a little bit on this. Okay, so I'm just browning up this sausage. And being that the acorn squash takes a while, you ideally want to start your sausage later on. So I'm just browning it quickly, and then I'll let it sit on the stove until about 10 minutes prior to when the acorn squash will be done. Then I'll finish this. And again, you just top it off with 1 to 2 tablespoons of pure maple syrup. Gives it a nice little sweetness. You don't have to, you can omit it. I just really like that combination. So this is just a quick, simple meal, 2 main ingredients, and you've got a protein and you've got a vegetable. So thank you for joining me, and it is a beautiful day to stay inside. Again, I'm kidding, it's so beautiful out, get outside, but you know what I mean. 6 feet, keep your social distance. All right, and hopefully if you get to make this one day, please post it. I'd love to hear any reviews. Thanks for joining.